of the law editor, and Tara Setmayer, communications director for California Congressman Dana Rohrabacher. Good to have both of you guys back on the show. This breaks my heart about Detroit. I love Detroit. People of Michigan are wonderful people. Detroit saved this country. Now we see it in tatters. You know, President Obama, I want to play a little clip because I think it's significant before I ask both of you to respond. This is what President Obama said about Detroit a little over a year ago.
We refuse to let Detroit go bankrupt. I bet on American workers and American ingenuity, and 3 years later, that bet is paying off in a big way.
Okay, Ellie, he said, I'm not going to let it go bankrupt. These bets are paying off in a big way. What happened?
Yeah, I think what we see, right, is that maybe there's a big difference between betting on American corporations and betting on American people. I think what we see, perhaps, is that corporations are not people, and that maybe we should bail out people and not the corporations.
Well, go ahead, Tara. You're ready to go.
So we're blaming capitalism for the downfall of Detroit? No. How about we look at the corruption, the generational Democratic rule in that city, the unions that held that public sector hostage, the city hostage, as things were changing in the industry, in the car industry there. They didn't adapt. And the level of corruption and Democrat rule, they're to throw money at the problem. We're going to just do whatever the unions say. That's what led to the downfall of Detroit, ultimately.
And I want to show a clip.
Not American corporations.
This is a clip from Detroit Councilwoman Joanne Watson, who I think put in perspective what a lot of people in Detroit were looking for from the federal government. Watch this.
After the election of Jimmy Carter, the Honorable Coleman Alexander Young, he went to Washington, D.C. He came back home with some bacon. Right. That's what you do. That's what you do.
Is that what you do, Ellie? I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? That they kept waiting for Uncle Sugar to come rescue him.
Well, I mean, there's also a math problem here, right? The tax base left. And so if you want...
Why?
Well, they're gone now, I think, is the point, right? And when we talk about public unions, let's remember, we're not just talking about private unions. We're talking about public unions. We're talking about police and fire and the very people that I think a lot of us don't want to cut services to. So the question now is whether or not we're going to invest in public services or not, right?
When you say invest, I hear the word spend, and I hear the word spend to a government that is so utterly corrupt. Its last mayor went to prison. This is a city that has been in a mess, and yes, its population is half what it was in the 50s. Half. Tara?
Well, the reason why people left was because the crime rate went up after the riots. They never recovered. Then you had the people said, we're not going to live here. It's not safe. I mean, then you had the police and firemen unions are not the unions that bankrupted this city. They always you guys always like to throw out, oh, the policemen and the firemen. I grew up in a family with a police officer and a fireman grandfather. My fiance is a law enforcement officer. I've got news for you. Those unions are not bankrupting these cities.
Well, look, I think that if we are not going to invest in Detroit, we should maybe just sell it to Canada. Because Canada seems to be able to balance, right? Seems to be able to balance government services and creating a strong business environment, right? Like, if we're not going to put money into our cities, then maybe we should sell it to people who will.
But I'm going to make a call during the break to the Prime Minister of Canada. We'll see if he's interested. Who knows? You never know. All right, coming up, I'm going to ask Ellie and Tara why the president is injecting himself into the Zimmerman-Martin case once again.